In this video, I'm going to take you through the 2-2A lesson. Please copy these problems down either into your math spiral or onto the digital file. We're going to work through 5 problems, and then there's going to be 2 problems that I would like you to work through. We're going to skip around, but we will do number 1. So if we think back to Module 1, we dealt with complex fractions. And the strategy for complex fractions or fractions within fractions is that to simplify them, we write the same statement horizontally. Then we multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. And we get our final simplified answer. Number 1, by the way, says simplify the complex fraction by dividing the numerator by the denominator, or multiplying by the reciprocal of the denominator. It's actually incorrect. Okay, you just need to copy the number crunching portion, not necessarily the instructions. Next one we're going to look at is number 3. And we're just going to pick and choose 4 more to do, and then you'll try 2. So number 3, we deal with some messier ones. The strategy is we want to get the numerator cleaned up, the denominator cleaned up, which is already cleaned up. We want to get all of our work organized and copy it down as we go. And then when we get down to something that looks like number 1, we're going to simplify using the same strategy. So 1/3 plus 3/3 over 2/3. By the way, these denominators do not need to all be the same. In fact, I would suggest not doing that, and instead just getting common denominators for the top fraction and the bottom fraction. Since the bottom fraction is done, we will add the top fraction, which is 4/3 over 2/3. Then we write it horizontally. Multiply by the reciprocal, and simplify, cross cancel, or multiply across and then simplify to get 2. Number 4, put this over 1, we'll get a common denominator, which on number 4 happens to be the same denominator that's present in the other 2 fractions. Every line of work, we're copying the whole thing, not just working with part of this to the side. So we have 8 over 2 plus, whoops, I made an error here. There we go. 32 over 8 plus 5 over 8. Which is 37 over 8. And so we're taking this division symbol and replacing it with that one. Okay. Let's look at 2 more. Feel free to pause this video if you need to look back at those or rewind it, but number 5. So for the numerator, my LCD is going to be 4, so I'll put this over 1. See if I can actually do this one without an error. The denominator, my LCD, will be 2. If you really want to get the same common denominator for all of them, I suppose you could do that, but I generally just find each one individually. Otherwise, I might have to make these fractions a little bit messier. So I like to go with my LCD for each separate one. This is 8/2 minus 1/2. Unlike the last problem, we now have addition and subtraction. 11/4 over 7/2. And my final answer is 11/14. Number 6. I would even suggest pausing the video now, see if you can do this one, and then compare it with the work and answer that I have. But when you're ready, common denominator for the top will be 5. Common denominator for the bottom or the denominator will be 10. And we end up getting 6/17. And we're going to do 2 more, and if we're going to skip 7, by the way, there really isn't a better method than this method. Same thing on these 2, and if you did not try the last one on your own, try these 2, pause the video, and then compare your answer with my answer. But when you're ready, I'll work through these. And we'll leave these as simplified, if needed, improper fractions. Be careful because now they're throwing in the mix some adding and subtracting. All right, and there are the last 2. My only other suggestion is make sure that your fraction line that separates the 2 fractions in the numerator and denominator is big enough that you can distinguish between them. Some of these other ones, which we're not going to do, but you might see in the homework, if you'd like to try them, I'll post the key that have all of these. With decimals, I would just convert these into fractions. I think you probably have the idea at this point on how to do these. And then this one, if you tried something like this, you might need to go to the side, figure out what is 2 over a quarter. I'm not a fan of doing side work like this, but in this problem, this would be a good idea, in my opinion. So maybe go to the side and then plug that in there, and then deal with the problem like the other problems. Please make sure that you finished the problems that were shown in the video, which were number 1, 3 through 6, and then you hopefully try it on your own and compare them with the answers 8 and 9.